Hello everyone, welcome to today's video. Today I want to look at a game of logical chess. It's a short game, it's a game I played on the internet a number of years ago. And it's a game where we really put it all together. Everything we've learned, we put it together here and we play a nice complete game. There's no hard to find tactic or computerized move here. Just normal moves where we bring out our pieces and do what we're supposed to do. And our opponent, on the other hand, does not do what he's supposed to do. He does not really follow the logical principles of chess in many ways. So let's get started. I had the white pieces here, and I opened e4. My opponent played c5, which is the Sicilian defense. It's a very common response to e4. I played knight to f3. He plays knight to c6. And now I moved out my bishop. I'm preparing a castle, following the ABCs of chess. It's not a pin yet, of course, because the knight's not pinned to anything. He can easily move here or elsewhere, here or even back here. But I'm making a developing move. This is what's referred to as the Rossolimo or the Moscow variation. It's a very common line today against the Sicilian defense. My opponent plays queen to c7. There's many choices here. There's e6, there's d6, there's a6, there's g6. Queen to c7 is what he plays, and I castle. Again, following the ABCs of chess, attack the center, bring out your b's and your knights, castle. My opponent now plays d6, and I play c3. I could play knight to c3 as well, but c3 is more in the spirit of this particular Rossolimo variation. It's a little bit of opening theory. We're only 4 or 5 moves into the game. It's not much theory, but this is what's played with the idea of d4. And my opponent plays here, and I play d4. Now, if we stop to look at the position on the board for a short moment or two, we'll see white has castled. He's followed the ABCs of chess. He's attacking the center of the board. He's got his pieces out. Now, black may want to castle queenside, but that could be dangerous because white's going to start exchanging pawns, half opening the c file. Black usually castles kingside, except he doesn't have anything developed in the kingside yet. So black isn't really following the ABCs of chess here. He really hasn't developed anything on kingside. He hasn't moved his pieces off the back rank. And this causes some problems. White, again, hasn't really made any startling moves, just playing normal chess. Developing his pieces, bringing his pieces out, attacking the center of the board. So black captures the pawn, and white captures back with the pawn. Black, again, could play knight to f6 or g6, starting to develop his kingside, move his pieces out. Instead, he plays a6. And I captured the knight. He could recapture like this, or like this, or even with the queen. Queen's probably not best. Instead, he recaptures with the b pawn. And now, at this point, I just make another developing move. And if you notice again, I've got a nice center, both pawns in the middle of the board. My knight's out aiming towards the middle. I've castled. I'm ready to go. He's not so ready to go yet. Again, if he castles queenside, this could be risky for him. I can start to play moves like rook to b1 with the threat of maybe b4. I'm moving my queen here and really start attacking his king. This is really not a wise idea for him to castle queenside. So he doesn't make that move. He plays g6. Okay, he's trying to fianchetto over here, move out his knight and castle kingside. But now white has the center of the board, and the antidote, the way to play against an opponent who keeps his king in the middle of the board, is of course to break open the center. If you all remember many of our lessons and many times that many of you have heard me talk about chess, I always talk about the center, the need that chess is played in the middle of the board, the center of the board, and the side that controls the center can control the game. And white controls the center here. So black has to be very careful that white doesn't start pushing his e-pawn or his d-pawn or even both, breaking open the middle of the board while his king sits still in the middle of the board. So white could play either e5 or d5. I chose to play d5. Perhaps e5 was better. Now if black takes c takes d, I would recapture knight here, attacking the queen, get a nice centrally posted knight. And black really doesn't want to start opening the middle. I might take dc here, forcing him to recapture with b or the queen. So he tries to keep the game closed. He plays c5 here at this point. And I move my rook to the middle of the board, preparing to start to push e5 and then really breaking open the center on black's king. And again, he's still several moves away from being able to castle here. So he's trying to hurry his way up and moves bishop to g7. He wants to play knight here and castle. And now I bring out to f4 my bishop from the queen side. My threat is to push the pawn to e5. Okay, again, opening the middle of the board. de, I recapture with the bishop with a knight, and again the rook would be on the file. I'm attacking the queen. He's still a move or two away from castling. This is going to be problems. So e5 is threatened here. My opponent now pins my knight. He could play knight here, but again I would play e5. Instead chooses to pin my knight to try to exchange my knight off at least, maybe blunt the pressure of me advancing e5, which he kind of knows he's going to have a hard time stopping. Okay, so he pins it with bishop to g4. I attack, and I force him pretty much to take it. If he retreats, I'm going to, of course, trap it in there with g4, and now he would lose a piece for 2 pawns, so he doesn't want to get the bishop trapped. So he captures the knight, and I recapture with my queen. Of course, I don't want to break up my pawns on the king side, defending my king, and puts the queen in a powerful central square, where it again puts more defense to my d pawn, and I'm getting ready to play e5 again. It's difficult for him to find a move here. He almost may have to play a move like f6, stopping e5. Knight here might still allow me to play e5 here. Can't take here, otherwise I capture his knight, so he might try capturing here. I could even, I'm contemplating even giving up the exchange here perhaps with rook takes. Bishop takes rook, and I capture the knight here. I lost an exchange, but I stop him from castling. He may have to castle king. So I don't know whether I would do this, but this is the idea. He's getting in trouble here. Okay, he is running into some sort of problems here. He's got to be careful. So knight here is probably not the best move for him at this point. Okay, so let's see if I can reconstruct where we were. So h3, bishop takes knight, queen takes bishop, and now at this point he plays knight to f6. He is afraid of me still maybe advancing here. May even have a move like queen here now, attacking the knight twice. He's going to have a hard time holding it even. So he plays knight to f6 anyway, and of course the logical move for me here is open the middle of the board on his king with e5. Okay. Forces, he's attacking his knight, attacking the pawn. It's very hard for him to find a move here. Perhaps maybe knight here, but then I'm going to play pawn takes pawn here. Can't recapture, of course, because it's guarded. The pawn's pinned to the king. Knight takes here, queen takes. He's still going to have a problem. Knight takes here, he loses his queen. A pawn takes queen. So he really can't allow me to take the pawn. These are all very logical moves here. So his only choice is d takes e5, and of course I recapture bishop takes e5, attacking the queen, attacking the knight, which is guarded really only once. He's got to be careful here. Okay, he could lose a piece very easily here. He plays queen of b6, guarding his knight a second time. Okay, the pawn, remember, is pinned, so it's really not guarding his knight. The knight would be attacked twice by 2 pieces. Only have him guarded once. Now he's guarded twice. And now, the logical move again, open the middle of the board on his king. Play in the middle of the board. He who controls the center controls the game. d6. opens a line for the queen, threatening queen takes rook, check, winning a whole rook. At the same time, threatens pawn takes pawn, threatens pawn down, knight can't take without losing over here the b on g7. The king would have to take, and now he can't castle anymore. I could play rook here, check. He's king caught in the middle of the board, so he's got a lot of trouble here. His best move is what he plays. He gives up the pawn and he just castles, protects the rook now. He knows he's going to lose the pawn, and I, of course, capture the pawn. D takes e7, and his rook's being attacked, moves it, guards the pawn. So I'm now ahead one pawn, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Pawn is being attacked by the rook, and I don't have it guarded yet. I am attacking his knight twice, but he's got it guarded twice. So at this point, the logical move for me, a logical move is look at a capture. Look at a capture. Bishop takes knight, bishop takes bishop here. Then I could maybe move my knight strongly into d5, attacking the queen and the bishop here twice. So maybe on bishop takes knight, he'd have to play queen takes, but then queen takes queen, bishop takes queen, knight here again. So let's look at what he does, and then we'll go back and look this a little bit. We're just looking at captures here. What are the captures here? What am I attacking? What can I capture here? You know, logical moves. So I capture the knight here, and he should recapture with the queen. We'll look at that in a minute. But what he does, he captures bishop takes. Now, I'm going to ask you to place your video on pause. And I really expect most of you out here to find this move. I have a winning move on the board. It's not checkmate, but I have a move that's going to win something. It's a very logical move here. It's a move most of you should find. So please place your video on pause and look for the logical move here. Okay? All right. I hope that all of you found knight to d5. It's a fork. It's something we should look at automatically. Moves a knight right into the center of the board where it attacks the queen and the bishop twice. The bishop's only guarded once by the queen, but the queen is being attacked. This wins something on the spot. My opponent resigned here immediately. He saw that once he moves his queen, wherever he moves his queen, let's say he tries to move here, I simply play knight, takes, bishop check. Not only does that win a piece, but it forks the king and queen at the king and rook, excuse me, at the same time. So king here. First of all, I would just take the queens off. He's got to be careful. He's going to just drop his queen here to check. This is a horrible position. There's nothing really realistically that he can play here. Maybe he'd have to get his queen out of the way. So at least on knight takes bishop check, he can move his king away without losing his queen. And again, I would simply just capture the rook here. I can also play rook here, attacking the queen, but capturing the rook here, he'd have to recapture with his rook, and now just simply rook here. And I'm playing a rook ahead, an entire rook ahead. It's just too much material to try to deal with. I'm going to bring a rook down and be able to exchange off to this rooks, maybe even queen the pawn. So he would have to resign shortly here. So that's why he resigned here. Let's look at what he should have done. It would not have helped a whole heck of a lot, but the move he should have made here, okay, way back when, let me see if I can reconstruct this. Right here, at this point, when I captured bishop takes knight, he should not recapture bishop takes, but he should recapture queen takes. And again, we should be able to play this game right through by looking ahead a little bit, looking at the captures, looking at attacking moves. We should be able to play this game through to a conclusion almost in our heads. You're probably all thinking, Mr. B. Mr. B, really? But let's look at the logical moves. Logical moves here is white. Take the queen off the board. What must he do? He must capture. He doesn't want to be a queen down. What's the logical move? Attack the bishop. It's unguarded. Protects the pawn at the same time. Let's say he captures the pawn. Now we're just going to attack the unguarded piece again. What's he going to do? Let's say he moves back here. Well, it doesn't really matter. And now we would simply play our knight into here, forking both rooks. Can't really move this rook out of the way. We're going to queen the pawn and win everything. So let's say he moves this rook. Capture the rook. What must he do? He must take it back. Otherwise we're going to save our knight. Must capture the knight. Now we're in exchange ahead here. We're actually, we have a rook for a bishop here. Even though he's got a centralized piece, we have a rook. Rooks are very powerful when they have open lines and a lot of moves to scoot around to. What move might we play here? We could play rook here. Wow, is that a computerized move? I don't know, maybe, maybe not, but looking ahead by one move, he must take the rook, right? Rook takes rook. We're going to now push the pawn, make a queen. Again, check. He must take the queen. Rook takes queen, rook takes rook, check. Must get out of check, move the king here, and we're going to play our rook here, attacking this pawn that's unguarded. He only has left here, okay, a bishop. It's a centralized one, it's the middle of the board, he's got to pass pawn, but he's not going to be able to stop us from bringing our own pawn down. So whatever he plays here, let's say he plays here, try to push his pawn. I'm going to take the pawn. Let's say he plays here. We're going to advance the pawn. Let's say he tries to bring his king into play. We're going to again push the pawn. Let's say he brings his king here. Either move. We're going to play rook here now. Keeping the king from crossing the c-file, so to stopping the pawn. He cannot stop the pawn. Now the only way to stop the pawn is going to have to use his one piece. King here, we're just going to play a move like this. Now again, he's got to protect the bishop, the pawn, so if he plays here, we're going to just simply queen the pawn, and he can't stop it. So he would probably have to do something like, excuse me, we just keep pushing here. So he'd probably have to do something like play here. Again, we're just going to keep advancing the pawn all the way down. I know I've not made some moves here, but we're going to take this pawn. This is all. There's nothing he can do. He's just plain lose here. Whatever he does, he's just going to lose. We're going to bring up our king, protect this, and we're going to eventually be able to force in a queen, win his bishop. Okay, it's just nothing he can do. So the moral of the story, the point of this game is, if you just play the logical moves of chess, follow the general principles that I know all of you know who've taken a number of chess lessons, follow the ABCs of chess, bring your pieces out in the castle, put your pieces in the middle of the board. He who controls the center of the board controls the game. Look for the captures and checks. Make logical moves in chess. There's no reason why really any of you who are playing at a little more advanced level, who've had a number of chess lessons with me or with one of our staff, should be able to play this game. Any of you who are a little more advanced should be able to play this game. There's nothing tricky, there's nothing fancy, there's no real computerized moves here. It's just logical moves, ABCs of chess, bringing our pieces out, controlling the center, looking at the captures and checks. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you remember, if you just make the logical moves of chess following general principles, you will do fine. See you next time.